Welcome back for a new top 10 list. This time we are checking out going back to a previous Magic set that I've already done one top 10 list on, and that being my personal favorite set of all time and part of the original Zendikar block, WORLDWAKE. We are checking out today, at least from personal perspective, top 10 favorite commons. Now, just because a card is common does not mean it is weak. In fact, some of the best cards in the game, I will argue, are commons. And also, being part of my personal favorite format, Pauper. So consider some of these of the top 10 on this list. Some suggestions may check out a Pauper, and sometime in the future I will look at 10 of, in my perspective anyways, 10 of the best uncommons in the set. With that said, music in the background is called Worlds from KH Birth by Sleep. So with that said, coming in at number 10, one of I think the coolest and most useful common land cards in this set. What's so cool about this specific card, of course, it enters the battlefield tapped, but however, when this enters the battlefield, put a 0/1 green plant creature token onto the battlefield. That is where this excels. Basically, you just place this on the field and you can immediately create a token to protect yourself. That is actually quite useful, especially if you play things such as elf decks or a pauper elf deck. This actually comes in handy quite nicely. And that's where this card is quite useful for its ability. With that said, coming in next at number 9 is another special little land card. This is one that I've always enjoyed using in some of my different vampire decks throughout the years. This dear Bog, of course, enters the battlefield tapped. However, when Bog enters the battlefield, exile all cards from target player's graveyard. That is where this card is quite useful. Because that way, if you exile all of their cards from their graveyard, that'll make sure that they can't bring any of them back to be used again against you. And yeah, this card can be also quite good putting it inside of a different type of pauper deck, whether it be maybe vampire, zombie, or something else. Coming in at number 8. Another really good card for black decks. Dead Reckoning costs 3 to bring out. Sorcery. You may put target creature card from your graveyard on top of your library. If you do, of course, this deals damage equal to that card's power to target creature. This card is quite good, especially in things such as zombie decks, though it can also be used in other types of black decks or a multicolor deck. But I would say this is definitely useful. Just depends on really your playstyle and what theme you prefer for your decks. Coming in at number 7, another nice, this time however, a blue land. When Depths enters the battlefield, look at the top 3 cards of your library, then put them back in any order. So, yeah, that could be quite useful, whether you play with Merfolk or you prefer using just a meal deck. This could be quite useful. And I recommend actually, honestly, picking up a bunch of these special lands from WORLDWAKE, as this set has some legit, some of the coolest and definitely useful lands, in my opinion. Especially of this block. Coming in next at number 6. Costs only 2 to bring out. Sorcery. You may pay an additional land, draw a card. That is where this is nice. So you can already add one land, and then you can use this and then add another land to the battlefield. Plus also draw a card on top of it. Quite nice. And I think it's decent for the fact it costs 2 mana. At a reasonable price cost for given what it can do. Definitely in certain type spots, especially also if you play stuff such as elves, this would be quite useful in. Coming in at number 5. Rolling Terrain. Quite nice little card. Costs 4 to bring out. Bit pricier. Sorcery. Destroy target land, then Rolling Terrain deals damage to that land's controller equal to the amount, or rather to the number of land cards in that player's graveyard. So it could definitely be quite useful in a unique hybrid style, I would say. Burn deck with maybe also goblins. Or dragons, depending on your playstyle. Next up, coming at number 4. One of my all-time favorites for an old Angel Life game deck I used to play. Rest for the Weary. Costs 2 to bring out. Target player gains 4 life. However, if you use the landfall ability, put a landfall out the same turn you use this. Landfall ability. If you had a land enter the battlefield under your control this turn, the player gains 8 life instead. Now that is quite nice, especially in formats such as Standard. That's where this card is quite useful and also really good in if you want to build a life thing like life gain pauper deck. I would definitely take consideration into adding Rest for the Weary into it. Coming in at number 3. This is quite a nice little enchantment card to use, depending on what playstyle you have, but for red decks, it costs 3 to bring out. Enchanted Creature. Enchanted Creature gets +1/+0 for each mountain you control, and has first strike. Quite nice, especially say if you use this in a goblin deck. This can be quite annoying. Or a dragon, though personally I use cards like this more in goblin style decks. Coming in at number 2, one of my all-time favorite commons for vampires. Costs 1 to bring out. Creature Vampire Rogue. Multi-kicker ability, which you pay 2 additional for each time you want to kick it. Awesome. Card has Swamp Walk. Also, whenever this enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each time it was kicked. So say you kick it at least twice. That makes it a 3/3. Plus Swamp Walk is a nice little ability to have. And this is definitely a good card I recommend for different types of vampire decks. Coming at number 1. One of my all-time favorites from old burn decks I used to use. Searing Blaze. Costs 2 red to bring out. Searing Blaze deals 1 damage to target player and 1 damage to target creature that player controls. Landfall ability, if you do a land. Instead, it deals 3 damage to target player and 3 damage to target, or rather creature, the opponent controls. So yeah, quite nice. And in fact, it only costs 2 to bring out, but with its landfall, that is quite useful. Especially in different types of burn decks. With that said, that is just my recommendations for, at least for my personal perspective, 10 of the best commons in WorldWake. Leave a comment below and give me your thoughts. And stay tuned in the future for a list of 10 of the best uncommons. Depending on your playstyle, really, to where this stuff would rank. But with that said, I'll see you all next time, and stay safe out there, as this world just keeps getting nuttier by the day. See you again soon.